every July, millions of American gardeners do the same thing. They walk outside in the heat, look at their wilting borders, and start dragging a hose across the yard again. Some of them have been doing it for 30 years and still cannot figure out why it feels like a losing battle every single summer. If you are in your 50s or 60s and you have spent enough seasons watching beautiful plants collapse the moment the rain stops, what you are about to hear changes that completely. There are 18 perennials that establish once in April, root deeply through spring, and then carry your garden through the hottest, driest American summers without asking for anything. Not most summers, every summer. One of the 18 positioned near the end of this video quietly outperforms plants costing 4 times as much at every major American nursery right now. That plant is the reason mature gardeners who discover it never go back. This is where your summer garden starts. Welcome to Natural Verge, where ancient plant wisdom meets practical modern living. Today we are breaking down 18 drought-tolerant perennials to plant this April. Subscribe now. Every week this channel delivers zone-accurate, dollar-grounded plant intelligence built for American gardeners who want real results. Stay through this entire video. One plant near the end has a specific April planting window that most gardeners completely miss, and it is the single most reliable summer performer on this entire list. Here is the mistake that costs American gardeners the most money every single season. They buy drought-tolerant perennials in June or July, right when the nurseries push them hardest, and then wonder why those same plants collapse before August. Drought tolerance is not a factory setting. It is something a plant builds through its root system during cool, moist spring conditions. When you plant in April, the soil is still holding winter moisture. Nights are cool. The plant is not under heat stress. It spends 6 to 8 weeks building the exact deep root architecture that makes it drought-proof by the time July arrives. Plant the same variety in June and it spends those same weeks fighting heat stress instead of building roots, and it fails. That is the entire game. April planting is not just a calendar preference. It is the biological window that makes everything on this list actually work the way it promises. Every plant in this video was selected knowing that an April start-in. USDA zones 4 through 9 gives it the establishment window it needs. Keep that framework in mind for every item you are about to hear. Most American gardeners think all lavender performs the same way, so they grab whatever is sitting in the largest pot at the nursery on a Saturday morning and bring it home. That single habit costs them between $30 and $60 every spring when that same plant fails to overwinter, or stretches and flops through summer without producing half the blooms the label promised. The variety is everything with lavender, and Hidcote is the one that earns its place permanently. Hidcote is a compact English lavender variety that typically reaches 18 to 24 inches in height and spread. Its bloom density is noticeably higher than standard lavender varieties, its deep violet color holds longer through summer heat, and its cold tolerance is meaningfully better than most of the lavender sold in American nurseries under generic labeling. Once established through an April planting, Hidcote roots down aggressively into dry soil, pulls moisture from well below the surface, continues blooming into late summer with almost no supplemental water in most American climates. For USDA zones 5 through 8, Hidcote is the most reliable lavender choice available. Gardeners in the Pacific Northwest, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Upper Midwest all report consistent performance across seasons that eliminate most other lavender varieties. In the South zones, 8 and 9 afternoon shade and extremely sharp drainage are non-negotiable, but Hidcote handles that combination better than nearly any other named variety. Here is the dollar reality. A single established Hidcote plant at a specialty nursery costs between $12 and $22. That same plant, properly placed in April, will reliably return for 10 to 15 years with no replacement cost. Set against the American average of replacing failed lavender every 1 to 2 seasons, that is a potential saving of $150 to $300 over a decade for a single planting spot. Multiply that across a border and the number becomes genuinely significant. 2 additional varieties worth knowing. Munstead, which is slightly more compact and performs well in zones 4 and 5 for northern gardeners, and Phenomenal, which is the most heat and humidity tolerant option for gardeners in the Gulf Coast states and the hot, humid South. The one mistake, planting Hidcote in rich, amended soil. This is the single most common failure point. Rich soil produces lush, soft growth that collapses, reduces blooms, and shortens the plant's life significantly. Hidcote performs best in lean, well-drained, slightly alkaline soil with no added compost at the planting hole. That lean soil discipline is what unlocks everything this variety promises. What comes next on this list is a plant that most American gardeners have never tried, but once they see what it does in dry July conditions, the question becomes why it was never mentioned sooner. The assumption most American gardeners carry about Baptisia is that it is a slow, awkward plant that takes too long to be worth the space. That assumption is the reason this native powerhouse gets passed over at the nursery every spring, while gardeners spend the same money on plants that demand constant water and collapse anyway by August. Baptisia australis, commonly called false indigo, is a native North American perennial, with a taproot system that descends 3 to 5 feet into the ground once established. That root depth is not an exaggeration. It is the biological explanation for why a fully established Baptisia plant in Kansas or Iowa or Tennessee can go 6 to 8 weeks without a single drop of supplemental water during a genuine drought and still look completely healthy while everything around it struggles visibly. The bloom display in May and June is a genuine feature, dense indigo blue flower spikes that resemble lupines rising above the blue-green foliage on a plant. That reaches 3 to 4 feet tall and wide at maturity. After bloom, the inflated seed pods provide architectural interest through summer and into fall, and the foliage remains clean and attractive through the season without spraying, feeding, or fussing. USDA zones 3 through 9 cover almost the entire contiguous United States, which means Baptisia is one of the most geographically universal drought-tolerant perennials on this entire list. Gardeners in the upper Midwest and Northeast particularly benefit from its exceptional cold hardiness, while gardeners in the South and Mid-Atlantic appreciate its genuine summer drought performance. Dollar anchor. A 1-gallon Baptisia starts at $8 to $15. A 3-gallon established specimen runs $20 to $35 at most specialty native plant nurseries. Compared to annuals replaced every year at $5 to $10 each, a single Baptisia in the same spot delivers 20-plus years of performance. The math is straightforward. Variety notes Baptisia australis is the standard deep blue form. Baptisia purple smoke offers a slightly different smoky purple tone. For gardeners wanting white, Baptisia alba provides the same drought performance with creamy white spikes. The one mistake, transplanting or moving an established Baptisia. Its deep taproot makes relocation nearly fatal for mature plants. Decide where it goes in April, plant it correctly once, and leave it permanently. That discipline is what makes a 20-year plant out of a $15 purchase. The next plant on this list has a reputation most American gardeners would be surprised to hear, and a $1 per season value that almost nothing at the nursery can match. Most American gardeners who have heard of red valerian think of it as a European cottage garden plant, something charming, but not especially practical for the kind of dry, hot American summers that have become increasingly common across the country. That perception leaves one of the most self-sufficient bloomers in the entire perennial. Worlds sitting unplanted in the nursery while gardeners spend money on thirsty alternatives. Centranthus rubra red valerian is a Mediterranean native that genuinely thrives on neglect. Once established through an April planting, it produces dense clusters of small crimson, pink, or white flowers continuously from late spring through summer, requires almost no supplemental watering once its root system is in place, and in many American climates will self-seed modestly, meaning a single plant quietly multiplies over seasons without any additional purchase. The drought mechanism is simple and reliable. Centranthus has a fleshy root system that stores moisture efficiently, combined with a naturally reduced leaf surface that limits water loss during peak heat. In a genuine hot, dry summer, it does not wilt dramatically the way thin-leaved annuals do. It simply continues. That quiet persistence is its most undervalued quality. USDA zones 5 through 9 cover the primary range for red valerian in the United States. It performs particularly well in the Pacific Northwest, California, the Mid-Atlantic, and the warmer parts of the Northeast. In the South zones, 8 and 9 afternoon shade extends its bloom season and prevents premature summer dormancy. Dollar reality. A single Centranthus plant costs $6 to $12 at specialty nurseries. Its self-seeding habit means that initial purchase potentially populates an entire dry border over 2 to 3 seasons without further spending. Compare that to buying 12 to 20 annuals at $3 to $5 each. Every spring, the savings over 5 years run easily into the hundreds of dollars for a modest-sized border. Varieties worth noting, the standard crimson red form is the most vigorous. Albus is the white variety, slightly less vigorous but elegant in mixed plantings. Coccineus is a deeper red selection for gardeners who want stronger color contrast. The one mistake, failing to deadhead aggressively in early summer. Centranthus that is allowed to set seed too freely in warm climates can self-sow more aggressively than the gardener wants. Removing spent flower clusters before seed ripens keeps self-seeding polite and extends the blooming season simultaneously. One cut, done twice per summer, makes this plant perfectly manageable. The plant in the next block quietly holds its ground in dry soil conditions where most perennials simply give up, and it does it through a structural adaptation that most gardeners have never thought about. When American gardeners see lamb's ears at the nursery, they see a beautiful example of a Native American plant. Most of them think of it as a soft decorative edging plant, nice texture, silver color, pleasant to touch. Very few of them understand that the silver is not decoration. It is the plant's drought survival mechanism, and it is one of the most effective natural water conservation strategies in the entire perennial world. Those dense white hairs that cover every surface of a Stachy's byzantina leaf serve a specific biological function. They reflect solar radiation, reducing leaf temperature during peak summer heat. They trap a thin layer of still air near the leaf surface, slowing moisture evaporation. And they diffuse direct sunlight before it reaches the stomata, the pores through which the plant loses water. The result is a plant that performs at full capacity on a 95-degree day in Kansas or Texas, or Arizona, while neighboring plants with unprotected green leaves are visibly stressed and wilting, as a ground cover and dry. Sunny borders, Stachy's byzantina provides one of the highest value per dollar plantings available to American gardeners. A single plant spreads to 18 to 24 inches in 2 seasons, suppressing weeds, retaining soil moisture below its dense mat, and providing genuine visual contrast against darker foliage neighbors through the entire season. USDA zones 4 through 8 cover the primary American range for lamb's ears. It is exceptional in the South, Mid-Atlantic, and Midwest. Gardeners in the upper Midwest appreciate its cold hardiness. In humid coastal climates, Gulf Coast particularly, air circulation becomes essential to prevent center rot during wet summers. Dollar value. 1-quart plants typically run $5 to $10. A 20-foot border edge planted with Stachy's at 12-inch spacing costs roughly $100 to $200 in plants and requires no replacement for a decade or more with correct siting. That same edge planted with annual edging plants costs $40 to $80 every single spring. Variety. Silver carpet is the non-flowering form ideal for pure foliage effect with no flower spike removal required. Helene von Stein, also called big ears, has larger leaves, stronger growth, and better humidity tolerance than the standard species. The one mistake, planting Stachy's in heavy clay or poorly drained soil. Wet roots in summer cause crown rot quickly. Sharp drainage is non-negotiable. Raised beds, gravel borders, and amended lean soil all provide the drainage this plant requires to perform through a wet summer without losses. The next plant on this list has a visual quality that stops people mid-stride in a garden and a structural toughness in dry conditions that makes it one of the most cost-effective perennial investments in this entire video. Most American gardeners walk past Eryngium at the nursery because the young plants look sparse, spiky, and uninspiring in a 4-inch pot. That first impression is one of the most expensive misjudgments a gardener makes because what that small pot is hiding is one of the most architecturally striking, drought-defying, structurally useful perennials available to American home gardens at any price point. Sea holly is a taproot plant. That single fact explains everything about how it performs in dry conditions. Once established through an April planting, Eryngium drives a deep central root down into the soil and simply stops requiring surface moisture. By midsummer, when shallow-rooted annuals and ornamental grasses are showing heat stress, a properly established sea holly is producing its peak display, metallic steel blue flower cones, surrounded by spiny silver blue bracts that catch light and hold their color and structure for weeks on end. The visual impact in a dry, sunny border is genuinely unlike anything else on this list. The steel blue coloring is not blue-green or blue-gray. It is a true metallic blue that intensifies in dry heat and provides contrast against silver foliage, warm yellow blooms, and purple-toned plants with equal effectiveness. USDA zones 4 through 9 cover the American range for most Eryngium species. Gardeners in the Northeast, Midwest, and Pacific Northwest get exceptional performance. In the South zones, 8 and 9 afternoon shade during peak summer heat extends bloom quality. Dollar anchor, specialty nurseries typically sell Eryngium at $10 to $18 per plant. A well-sited specimen in lean dry soil will return reliably for 5 to 8 years with zero supplemental care after establishment. For a dry border where annuals would cost $30 to $60 every spring, 3 to 4 Eryngium plants represent a decade of structural interest for $40 to $70 total planted once. Varieties: Eryngium planum. Blawcap is among the most reliable blue forms for American gardens. Eryngium x Zablia Joss Igecking is a vivid violet blue selection with excellent stem strength. Eryngium giganteum, known as Miss Wilmot's Ghost, is a biennial form that self-seeds reliably, giving it perennial-like garden presence. The one mistake: attempting to transplant or move established Eryngium. Like Baptisia, its taproot makes relocation nearly impossible without severe setback. Decide on placement in April, plant it once, and treat that location as permanent. That is the only discipline required for a plant that otherwise demands almost nothing. The next item on this list produces one of the most recognizable summer color signatures in the American drought-tolerant garden, and it does so in conditions where most blue-purple perennials simply shut down. Here's what most American gardeners believe about globe thistle: that it is a novelty plant interesting for one season, awkward to place, and not worth a permanent spot in a serious garden. That belief keeps one of the most structurally reliable, pollinator-rich, drought-defiant perennials in the American plant palette sitting quietly at the back of the nursery, while less capable plants sell out. Echinacea retro is a member of the thistle family, which tells you immediately about its soil preferences and drought tolerance. It produces perfectly spherical steel blue flower heads on upright stems that reach 3 to 4 feet tall, with deeply lobed silver-green spiny foliage that is itself visually interesting through the entire season. In July and August, the worst months for water stress in most of the continental United States, Echinacea is producing its peak bloom display with no supplemental watering required after a solid April establishment. The pollinator value is exceptional and measurable. A fully established globe thistle in peak bloom can support dozens of bumblebees, honeybees, and butterflies simultaneously. For American gardeners interested in supporting pollinator populations, which has become a meaningful priority across all 50 states, Echinacea delivers that function with zero water cost. USDA zones 3 through 8 cover the American range, making Echinacea one of the most cold-hardy plants on this list. Gardeners in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the entire upper Midwest can rely on it through genuine Zone 3 and 4 winters with no protection. In the South, partial afternoon shade in Zones 8 and 9 prevents premature dormancy. Dollar anchor: globe thistle plants typically cost $8 to $15 at nurseries. A 3-plant grouping, the most effective display spacing, runs $25 to $45. That investment delivers architectural blue interest plus peak pollinator support through July and August for a decade, or more with no replacement. Annuals filling the same space would cost $30 to $60 every single spring. Varieties: Echinacea retro Veitch's blue is the standard, most vivid blue and widely available. Echinacea banaticus taplow blue is a taller, slightly larger-headed form for gardeners who want more height. For a white option, Echinacea sphaerocephalus provides the same drought performance with silver-white globes. The one mistake: rich or heavy clay soil. Globe thistle planted in fertile amended beds produces tall, floppy plants that require staking and perform poorly compared to specimens in lean, dry, slightly sandy or gravelly soil. Lean soil is not a compromise, it is the correct growing condition that unlocks this plant's architectural form and bloom density. Right now in this video, you are at the halfway point, and the plants still coming are the ones that have surprised experienced American gardeners most. One in particular near the end of this list is the item mentioned in the opening, the plant that quietly outperforms everything else on this list in the hottest conditions. Stay with this. You are now past the halfway point of this list, and the plants coming in the second half are the ones that tend to surprise even experienced American gardeners the most. The item mentioned in the opening, the one that quietly outperforms plants costing 4 times as much at American nurseries, is 3 plants away. Stay through it. It is worth every second. Russian sage is perhaps the single most recognizable plant in the American drought-tolerant garden canon, and yet the majority of Americans who plant it still make a mistake that prevents it from ever reaching its true form. They plant it once, it performs adequately, and they assume that is as good as it gets. It is not. Perovskia atriplexifolia produces an airy cloud of tiny lavender blue flowers on silver-white aromatic stems from July through September, a bloom window that covers the hottest, driest portion of the American summer with no assistance required. The silver coloring of the stems is not aesthetic, it is a reflective adaptation that reduces heat load on the plant's tissue during peak solar radiation. Combined with deeply lobed, silver-gray aromatic leaves that deter herbivores and reduce moisture loss, Russian sage operates as a self-contained drought management system that simply does not need human intervention once established. USDA zones 4 through 9 cover the entire primary American range. Russian sage performs at peak quality in the Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, Pacific Northwest, and the warmer areas of the Northeast. In the South and Gulf Coast zones 8 and 9, it is one of the most reliable blue-tone summer perennials available. Dollar anchor. Perovskia plants run $8 to $16 at most American nurseries. A properly established plant spreads to 3 to 4 feet wide and 4 feet tall over 2 to 3 seasons, effectively filling a border space that would require 4 to 6 annuals every spring at $5 to $10 each, or $20 to $60 per season. 1. Russian sage purchase delivers the same space coverage for a decade. Varieties. Little Spire is a more compact form at 18 to 24 inches, ideal for smaller borders and urban gardens. Denim and Lace has bicolor lavender and white flowers with a tidier growth habit. The species form Atroplicifolia remains the most vigorous and drought-resistant of all selections. The one mistake, leaving old woody stems from the previous year intact when new growth begins in spring. Russian sage must be cut back hard to 6 to 8 inches in early spring before new growth emerges. Gardeners who skip this step end up with a woody, leggy plant that produces half the bloom display of a correctly pruned specimen. Hard spring pruning is the single most impactful annual action for this plant. The plant in the next block has been used in formal European gardens for centuries, but its performance in the dry American summer is something very few American gardeners have ever been told about. The assumption most American gardeners hold about Verbascum when they have heard of it at all is that it belongs in wild meadow plantings or informal cottage gardens, not in a serious planned border. That assumption leaves one of the most structurally powerful vertical perennials, available entirely unused in gardens where height and drama are exactly what is missing. Verbascum, commonly called Malin in its wild form, produces a flat, silver woolly rosette of leaves at ground level, and from that rosette drives a vertical flower spike that reaches anywhere from 3 to 6 feet tall, depending on the variety. Those spikes are covered in closely packed flowers, yellow in the classic species, but pink, white, and copper in cultivated garden varieties from late spring through midsummer, providing vertical structure that almost no other drought-tolerant perennial can match at the same height. The drought mechanism is elegantly simple. The rosette base is a moisture storage. Structure. The woolly silver surface of the leaves, similar to Stashi's but denser, reflects heat and reduces evaporation. The deep taproot anchors the plant in dry, stony soil and pulls moisture from below the surface level. Together, these three adaptations allow Verbascum to bloom freely during dry June and July conditions in lean, well-drained soil without any supplemental watering once established from an April planting. USDA zones 4 through 9 cover the American range for most cultivated Verbascum varieties. Performance is particularly strong in the Pacific Northwest, the Southwest, and the Mid-Atlantic. In the upper Midwest, zones 4 and 5 choose named hybrids with established cold hardiness ratings rather than species forms for reliable overwintering. Dollar anchor, named Verbascum hybrids typically cost $10 to $20 at specialty nurseries. As a short-lived perennial or biennial, they self-seed reliably in most American garden conditions, meaning a first season. Purchase often becomes a self-sustaining colony over 2 to 3 years without additional spending. A 3-foot wide planting that self-maintains for 5 seasons from a $20 initial purchase represents exceptional economic value per linear foot of border coverage. Varieties worth selecting. Southern Charm produces warm pastel spikes in peach, pink, and cream, one of the most visually versatile options for mixed borders. Violetta is a shorter form with deep purple-centered flowers for gardeners wanting a more refined look. Verbascum chachialbum is a white-flowered species form with excellent cold hardiness for Northern American gardens. The one mistake, deadheading before allowing some self-seeding. Unlike Centranthus, where deadheading is a management tool, Verbascum depends on self-seeding for its long-term presence in the garden. Removing every spent spike immediately shortens its garden life. Allow 2 to 3 spikes to complete seed dispersal each season then. Remove the remainder. That balance keeps Verbascum in the garden indefinitely. The next plant has one of the most genuinely dramatic flowering displays on this list, and it produces that display in conditions that would eliminate almost any other ornamental shrub at the same price point. Most American gardeners who encounter Cistus at a specialty nursery assume it is a tender exotic that needs careful management, regular watering to establish, and protection through winter. Every part of that assumption is wrong, and it is the reason this extraordinarily drought-resilient Mediterranean shrub perennial gets passed over in favor of plants that require significantly more work and water. Cistus rock rose is native to the rocky, sun-baked, bone-dry hillsides of the Mediterranean basin. It evolved in conditions where summer rainfall is essentially zero for 3 to 4 months at a time. Its leaves are coated in a natural aromatic resin that reduces water loss dramatically, repels herbivores, and gives the plant a distinctive fragrance in warm weather. Its root system is widespreading and efficient in shallow, rocky, well-drained soil, exactly the conditions that cause most ornamental shrubs to struggle. In those conditions, Cistus does not merely survive, it thrives. The flower display is genuinely spectacular and brief. Each individual bloom lasts a single day, producing crinkled, papery flowers that resemble wild roses, but the plant produces them in such rapid succession during its spring and early summer bloom window that a fully established specimen looks continuously covered. White, pink, and bicolor forms with contrasting yellow stamens are available, and the visual effect in a dry, sunny border against silver or dark foliage companions is difficult to match at any price. USDA zones 8 through 10 define the reliable American range for most Cistus species, meaning this plant performs best along the Pacific coast, the Southwest California, and the Gulf Coast warm zones. For gardeners in zones 6 and 7, sheltered south-facing positions with excellent drainage extend Cistus hardiness meaningfully, though some winter dieback and severe cold should be expected and planned for. Dollar anchor. Cistus plants at specialty nurseries run $12 to $25. In zones 8 and above, an established Cistus plant requires no replacement for 10 to 20 years in the correct conditions. Set against the cost of replacing cold tender flowering shrubs every 2 to 3 years, which is the hidden annual cost most American gardeners never calculate, Cistus represents significant long-term value in the right climate zone. Varieties. Cistus X purpureus offers rich pink flowers with deep maroon basal spots, one of the most visually striking options. Cistus latini for the gum cistus has the largest white flowers and the strongest resin fragrance. Cistus X hybridus is the most cold-tolerant hybrid form and the safest choice for Zone 7 trial planting. The one mistake: overwatering during and after establishment. Cistus planted in April needs moderate watering for the first 4 to 6 weeks, then water should be gradually reduced and ultimately nearly eliminated in summer. Gardeners who continue regular irrigation through summer mimic conditions the plant never evolved for, producing root rot and premature decline. Dry summer conditions are not a stress for Cistus, they are its preferred environment. The plant coming up next is one that almost no American gardener has heard of by name, yet once they see it performing in dry July conditions, it becomes one of the most requested plants in specialty nurseries for good reason. Almost no American gardener walks into a nursery and asks for Phlomis by name. That is the clearest evidence of how completely overlooked this plant is, because among structural dry garden perennials that provide genuine four-season interest, year after year of drought performance, and an architectural quality that makes designers specifically request it, Phlomis russelliana stands in a category most of the American gardening market has simply never been introduced to. Phlomis russelliana, sometimes called Turkish sage, is a large architectural perennial that produces tall, upright stems reaching 3 to 4 feet, with tiered whorls of soft yellow hooded flowers spaced evenly up the stem like rings on a candelabra. The foliage is large, heavily textured, and woolly, with the same light reflecting and moisture conserving properties seen in Stachys and Verbascum. Once established from an April planting, it roots deeply into dry soil and performs through July and August heat with essentially no supplemental water required. What makes Phlomis exceptional beyond its drought performance is its structural persistence. The spent flower whorls dry in place after bloom and remain on the stems through autumn and winter, turning from soft yellow to warm brown, creating genuine architectural garden structure during months when most perennials have collapsed or retreated. For American gardeners who value winter garden interest, those dried stem and whorl structures are worth the planting alone. USDA zones 4 through 9 cover the American range for Phlomis russelliana. It performs reliably across the Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, Pacific Northwest, and warmer parts of the Northeast. In the South and Gulf Coast zones, 8 and 9 afternoon shade prevents premature leaf scorch during the most intense heat periods. Dollar anchor. Phlomis russelliana is a specialty plant, typically priced between $12 and $22 at native and specialty perennial nurseries. Its combination of drought performance, large scale spreading to 3 feet wide at maturity, and 4-season structural value means it is effectively providing the visual work of 2 or 3 lesser plants in a single purchase. For gardeners building a serious low-water border, that efficiency at $12 to $22 represents genuine value. The species Phlomis russelliana is the most widely available and most reliable for American gardens. Phlomis fruticosa Jerusalem sage is a shrubby species suited to zones 7 through 10, with brighter yellow flowers and slightly more compact form. Phlomis italica offers softer pink lavender flowers for gardeners wanting color variation. The one mistake, cutting stems back hard in autumn. Many American gardeners who are accustomed to perennial cleanup cut Phlomis to the ground after the first frost. This removes the architectural seed head structures that provide winter interest and eliminates the protective layer of old growth that improves cold. Hardiness in zones 4 and 5. Leave the stems standing through winter. Cut back in early spring. That single change transforms the garden value of this plant from seasonal to year-round. Up next is a plant whose name almost every American gardener knows, but whose actual drought performance in the right site surprises nearly everyone who tries it for the first time. Here is something most gardeners find genuinely surprising. Anaphalis is one of the very few drought-tolerant perennials that performs reliably in part shade. Almost every other plant on this list demands full sun. Anaphalis opens a dry garden solution for those difficult spots under the edge of a canopy, along a north-facing fence line, or in the dappled light beneath a high-branched tree areas where drought tolerance and reduced light must be solved simultaneously. Anaphalis margaritaceae pearly everlasting produces silver-white foliage and clustered white papery flowers that persist through summer and dry beautifully in place, providing everlasting quality winter interest without cutting. In full sun, it is excellent. In dry part shade, it is nearly irreplaceable. USDA zones 3 through 8 define the range, making it one of the hardiest options on this list and genuinely useful across almost the entire continental United States. Dollar anchor. Plants run $6 to $12, and a single plant spreads to 18 to 24 inches over 2 seasons, filling challenging border areas that other plants abandon. The one mistake, planting in heavy wet soil and shade. Dry shade is the correct environment. Wet shade causes crown rot within a season. Improve drainage before planting in any shaded area where moisture collects. That single preparation step makes Anaphalis one of the most reliable performers in a genuinely difficult garden situation. Most American gardeners know Gypsophila from florist bouquets and grocery store flower. Arrangement's the delicate white cloud filler that makes every other flower look more elegant. What very few of them know is that the same plant producing that effect in a florist cooler at $3 a stem is a drought-tolerant, deep-rooted perennial that thrives in the lean, chalky, alkaline soils that defeat almost everything else. Gypsophila paniculata, perennial baby's breath, drives a deep taproot into dry alkaline soil and produces its billowing cloud of tiny white flowers from June through August with minimal water. It actually performs worse in rich, acidic, heavily amended soil, which is the exact soil preparation most American gardeners instinctively apply. USDA zones 3 through 9 cover the American range. Dollar anchor. One established plant cut regularly produces enough stems through summer to supply arrangements worth $40 to $80 at grocery store bouquet pricing from. A $10 to $16 plant. Variety note, Bristol Fairy is the classic double-flowered form. Flamingo offers soft pink double flowers for color variation. The one mistake, planting in acid soil without adjustment. Gypsophila requires a soil pH of 7.0 or above neutral to alkaline. In acid soils common across the Pacific Northwest, Northeast, and Upper Midwest, lime application before planting is essential and non-negotiable for this plant to perform. The most common assumption American gardeners hold about ice plant is that it is a tender succulent suited only to California or the Southwest frost-sensitive, zone-limited, and impractical for most of the country. That assumption is specifically wrong for Dilosperma, and it is the reason this cold-hardy succulent perennial is among the most underused ground cover bloomers in the entire American plant market. Dilosperma hardy ice plant stores water directly in its succulent leaves, producing one of the most efficient drought survival mechanisms of any perennial in this entire video. It blooms with intense daisy-like flowers in magenta, orange, yellow, and white through June-July. In August, during the exact peak of American summer drought pressure, while lying almost flat to the ground as a weed-suppressing mat of color. USDA zones 5 through 9 cover reliable American performance, meaning upper Midwest and Northeast gardeners can use Dilosperma with confidence, not just Southwest and California growers. Dollar Anchor. A tray of 6 plants at $6 to $10 fills a 10 square foot slope in one season. That same slope would require $40 to $60 in annual ground cover plants every spring. The one mistake: any standing water at the root zone. Dilosperma planted in poorly drained spots does not decline slowly, it fails suddenly and completely. Sharp drainage is non-negotiable. Gravel mulch, slope positions, and raised beds all provide the drainage that unlocks everything this plant offers. This is the plant mentioned in the opening of this video. The one that quietly outperforms plants costing 4 times as much at American nurseries, and the one that most gardeners who discover it say they cannot believe they planted anything else in that spot before. This is Echinacea californica California Fuchsia. While every other plant in a dry American garden is winding down in August and September, Echinacea is just beginning its peak display. It produces tubular scarlet orange flowers in dense clusters from late summer through October, making it the last major color source in a drought garden precisely when color is hardest to find. And it does this in the driest, hottest conditions of the American gardening year, without supplemental water, on lean, rocky soil, in full sun. The hummingbird attraction is not incidental. It is one of the most reliable hummingbird feeding plants in the Western American plant palette, and in the eastern states, it draws migrating ruby-throated hummingbirds during fall passage. USDA zones 6 through 10 cover the American range. Dollar Anchor plants cost $10 to $18. A single established clump provides late-season color and hummingbird interest that no annual can replicate without daily watering. The one mistake: planting in a site with afternoon shade. California Fuchsia requires full sun to reach its bloom potential. Parchade plants produce reduced flower density and delayed bloom timing. Full sun from April planting forward is the only condition that delivers the full performance this plant is capable of. Evening Primrose earns its place on this list through a combination almost no other drought-tolerant plant offers simultaneously. Large cup flowers in warm yellow or soft pink that open in the early evening. A self-seeding habit that builds a naturalized drought-resistant colony over 2 to 3 seasons, and a deep taproot that handles bone-dry soil without complaint through the entire American summer. Onethera speciosa, the pink showy variety, and Onethera biennis, the classic tall yellow biennial form, both perform reliably across USDA zones 4 through 9. The evening bloom timing makes Evening Primrose the only plant on this list specifically attractive to night-flying pollinators, including sphinx moths, a pollinator group almost no other garden plant serves effectively. Dollar Anchor, seed packets cost $3 to $6 and produce self-sustaining colonies. Named variety plants run $6 to $12. Once a colony establishes in lean, dry soil, it maintains itself indefinitely through self-seeding at no further cost. The one mistake: planting in rich soil, which causes aggressive self-seeding and floppy growth. Lean, dry, well-drained soil produces compact, well-behaved, beautiful plants that stay exactly where you want them. These two plants solve the same border problem from different angles, and they solve it so effectively together that experienced drought garden designers often use them as a pair deliberately. Tanacetum, silver tansy, or painted daisy relatives, depending on the species selected, provides dense silver aromatic foliage that reflects heat, resists drought, and forms a reliable low mound through summer with minimal water. Its silver tones provide visual continuity between brighter bloomers and prevent the hot color fatigue that can develop in a purely flowering dry border. USDA zones 4 through 8. Plants run $6 to $14. Plant in lean, well-drained soil in full sun and leave it alone. Nepeta Fasania catmint produces lavender blue flower spikes on arching stems from late spring through summer, with aromatic gray-green foliage that repels deer, tolerates dry heat, and rebounds vigorously when cut back after the first bloom flush. It thrives across USDA zones 4 through 8, performs particularly well in the Midwest, Northeast, and Mid-Atlantic, and can be purchased for $8 to $15 per plant. The dollar value is exceptional. A single Nepeta plant cut back after first bloom produces a second full flowering, by late summer effectively doubling its seasonal display for zero additional cost. The one critical action: cut Nepeta back by 1/2 after the first bloom flush ends. That single cut in early July produces a clean, compact second flush through August and September that an uncut plant never delivers. Echinacea Magnus closes this list the way a native plant should, with unquestionable American roots, a performance record that predates every nursery that sells it, and a 4-season garden value that almost nothing else delivers at the same price point. Echinacea purpurea Magnus, the 1998 Perennial Plant of the Year, produces oversized, deep rose-pink, flat-petaled coneflowers on upright stems reaching 3 feet tall, with a deep taproot that makes it genuinely drought-resistant once established from an April planting. It blooms from July through September peak drought season, without supplemental watering in USDA zones 3 through 9. That zone range covers essentially every American gardener watching this video. The 4-season wildlife value is exceptional. Bees and butterflies cover the open flowers through summer. After the petals drop, the architectural seed cones persist through autumn and winter, feeding goldfinches, chickadees, and sparrows through the coldest American months. That combination of summer pollinator support and winter bird feeding from a single $15 plant represents genuine ecological value that no annual delivers. Dollar anchor, plants run $10 to $18. A 3-plant grouping, the minimum effective display costs $30 to $55 and delivers reliable performance for a decade or more. The one mistake: dividing established clumps too aggressively. Echinacea does not benefit from frequent division the way other perennials do. Divide every 4 to 5 years maximum. Unnecessary division weakens the root system and reduces drought tolerance and bloom density for 2 to 3 full seasons after each intervention. We are not ending here. You can choose every plant on this list correctly and still fail if you do not know these 3 things. First, do not mix drought-tolerant plants with thirsty ones in the same border zone. The irrigation schedule that keeps a thirsty plant alive will slowly rot the roots of every drought-tolerant perennial sharing that bed. Zone your planting by water need dry plants together, moisture lovers elsewhere. This one discipline determines whether your drought border thrives or quietly deteriorates. Second, mulch matters, but the wrong mulch is worse than none. Organic bark mulch holds moisture well, which sounds desirable. But for plants that evolved in lean, dry soil, excessive surface moisture at the crown promotes crown rot, fungal problems, and reduced drought hardiness. Use gravel, crushed stone, or decomposed granite as mulch around drought-tolerant perennials. That surface material drains instantly, reflects heat from the root zone, and mimics conditions these plants evolved in. Third, expect the first summer to look modest. Drought-tolerant perennials planted in April invest their first season in root development, not top growth. A plant that looks small in July has built the root system that will make it spectacular in July of the following year. Resist the urge to overwater, over-fertilize, or replant. The patient gardener is always rewarded. Now, if you have never built a drought-tolerant border before, start with Lavender, Hidcote, Nepeta Phasonia, and Echinacea Magnus. Those 3 together provide reliable bloom from late spring through early autumn with almost no learning curve. If you have been gardening for years and you want to add serious structural depth, build around Baptisia, Eryngium, and Phlomis russeliana. And if your specific goal is a border that performs through genuine summer drought without any supplemental watering at all, build your foundation on Perovskia, Echinacea, and Zosinaria. Those 3 together cover blue, silver, and late orange across the entire dry season. Every like on this video tells YouTube this information is worth showing to other Americans who need it, and it costs you nothing. Drop your state and which plant you are starting with in the comments. Your USDA zone changes which of these performs best in your exact conditions, and I read every comment. Think of one person in your life who waters their garden every week through summer because nobody ever showed them a better way. Send them this video right now, not a message, just the link. That one action could change their entire approach to gardening. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based information on 18 drought-tolerant perennials that most channels never put in one place. That is what every natural Verge video delivers. Subscribe now and turn on the bell. The next one is already coming.